Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. My guest today is Lynn Courey, who is the founder and president of the Sashbear Foundation. Now, if you suspect that your teenager is experiencing highs and lows emotionally that are more than just teen angst, this show is for you. And or if you're living with someone or love someone who experiences extreme highs and lows emotionally or has a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, this show is for you. Hello, friends. Welcome to season 2 of the Broken Open podcast. I'm Maureen Towns, author, speaker, and expert on finding calm amidst the chaos of helping those you love with mental health and addictions issues. If you like what you hear on this podcast, please be sure to subscribe so that you're the first to know when new episodes are released. And visit MaureenTowns.com to get in touch, to stay current on our programs, Footsteps for Families and Freedom from Intergenerational Trauma, as well as any updates on the book, Broken Open. Enjoy the show. Okay, Lynn, we're live. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Take a big breath.
Yes, take a big breath. My first time doing this, so I'm breathing.
Yeah, this is just a new format for you to put your message out. I mean, you've got such a strong message, right? What's your position in Sashbear, Lynn?
I'm the founder and president of the organization.
Okay.
We started Sashbear, the Sashbear Foundation in 2011 after I lost my daughter to suicide. She was only 20, and then it was on June 17, 2011. And when I think of it, like it's as if it was yesterday, and then it's almost been 10 years. And then from that, then we funded the organization, and then with my husband and a few friends and families. And now I'm president of the organization.
Yeah, amazing. And I first heard about your organization through Donna Hughes here in Calgary and Inner Solutions. And she was telling me a little bit about your organization. And so I looked you up, and I think I called you up years ago. And that's sort of the beginning of my relationship with you and the organization. And so what is the mission and the mandate of Sashbear?
Like what I can say, like in a few words, it's we like to bring skills and hope to family members that are in need because they have a loved one struggling with BPD or with emotion dysregulation, and we really believe that skills and hope really can make a difference for the families and even saving lives. Just before Sasha passed away, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she had been struggling for, I would say, probably 8 years with emotion dysregulation, but no one had really like diagnosed her with anything besides teenage angst. So when she was diagnosed, like 3 months before she passed away with BPD. I think like it's really like made a difference for her in the sense that finally there was a purpose, or not a purpose, but really answering the question of what BPD really meant to her.
I would imagine getting a diagnosis would be validating for someone who's been struggling all along and being told, this is just normal teenage angst, like you said, and her feeling like different and looking around her at others who don't seem to be experiencing what she's experiencing, finally to get a diagnosis would be almost a relief.
Yeah, indeed. I think this is what happened. Like, this is what happened to her. It was a relief, like, to understand what I'm going through
Mm.
has a name,
Yeah.
right? And then, like, being like a student in psychology herself and looking at those abnormal psychology book that the portrait they were putting about BPD was so dark that it was not really like hopeful
Yes.
for them. And then this is the reason why, like, I think our mission is really to bring skills and hope to families who have someone struggling with BPD, because we know that with the skills, it can really make a difference.
Mm. The skills is huge. And the skills that you're talking about are typically the dialectic behavioral therapy skills. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Dialectic skills?
Yeah, like when Sasha was struggling and then was diagnosed with BPD, we were able to bring her into a treatment in the US, or she volunteered to go to a treatment center. And for us, living in Toronto, we had to drive a minimum of 9 hours to go for a skills program in the US for an hour and a half
Mm.
per week. So we had to do that travel once a week to get an hour and a half of skills.
Mm.
And then, unfortunately, after 5 weeks, we weren't able to keep her in the US. And then, for different reasons, like she didn't have any insurance, we weren't able to continue paying the cost of the treatment in the US. So we needed to bring her back. And for her, it was like kind of cutting the hope, because she felt that like the DBT treatment for her was very essential. And at the same time, for us, we realized that the skills we were learning was making such a difference for us to have a better understanding of what really she was going through. And then instead of being polarized, we were suddenly like bringing us together
Yeah.
to try to see things through different light.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, like I think like this is when she realized that she felt like a burden to us, and this is when she passed away, or she died by suicide. And then this is when I still remember when she was on her bed at the hospital in the US, and with tears coming down from her eyes, and then she was saying, "Mama, Papa, I'm really sorry that I broke your trust, and I just didn't want to be a burden to you guys." And then as a parent, as a mother, like you don't want your child to feel this way, to feel that they're a burden, that they feel like they're a damaged good, and it was devastating. And then when I was looking at her, I knew that even though she wanted to come home, it was now too late.
Mm.
And then the next day, this is when she had passed away. And then this is from that moment on that my husband and I said, we have to do something about this. We have to change the landscape of Canada and bring skills to families. So this way, it didn't matter where they were, that the skills could be provided to them or accessible to them. It's really like to bring the accessibility, the affordability to skills and hope. And then we were put in contact with Dr. Perry Hoffman, the one that created the Family Connection Program, which is a program of skills and hope to family members who have a loved one struggling with BPD. And then this is at the end of, we really didn't waste any time when you think of it. Like in 2011, in December 2011, we took a training to become leaders for this program, for the Family Connection Program. And then 6 months later, we became a leader to teach the program. And I will still remember my husband saying, Mike, those skills are for you. I understand them. They're amazing, but right now I'm grieving, And I never thought in a million years, right, that I would be running this organization and spreading the skills across the country. When you think now we have like 75 groups per year across Canada, and it really makes a difference. We hear like testimonial from family members, right?
Yeah.
Never had a program that brings me hope or that brings me closer to my family or to my loved one. Or I spent so many years trying like to find a solution or to go through therapy, and this 12 weeks really brought me more to me and my family than anything else. So it's kind of sad that losing a child kind of made me a better person at the same time. And this is when I want to cry, right?
I do too. I totally relate though. I mean, the podcast is called Broken Open, and it's really just exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes you have to break to open up, and it's amazing what you've done with the grief and the pain that you've experienced. I know you made a difference for me, for sure, and my relationship with Allie, for sure, and all my kids, really. I mean, you talk about validation, the skills, the hope. It's so simple once you know it, but it doesn't come very naturally.
No.
You know.
When it's so true, like, and I would say everyone can relate to what you're saying too, right? And I like to bring the example of I know baseball may not be the sport that everybody knows, but when you see someone ending up at the Hall of Fame, right? Like they need a 0.34 average, right?
Yes.
To get there, especially the guy that's doing like home runs, how many balls he had to hit and miss, and how many times he failed, right, to hit the balls. And it's the same thing with validation.
Yeah.
You need to practice, practice, and practice. And by learning how to practice, this is where you can readjust and adjust, right? To say, okay, this validation works because now like I'm able to communicate my understanding of what my loved one is trying to tell me, like through their behavior or like emotion or thoughts. But this needs practice to be able to land on the jackpot, right? Like it's and in order for us family member, and this is the beauty of this program, I always think of Dr. Perry Hoffman when she created this program, like it was to help family that didn't have anywhere else to go to.
Yes.
That they felt despair, burden, depression, hopelessness. And then she was just hoping to help a few people to see if this would make sense. And then and unfortunately we lost Dr. Perry Hoffman last fall. But I remember like she was telling me she never thought that it would be in 28 countries today, right?
Yeah.
And then those skills that we're learning through the program, it was so thoughtfully built in the sense that the skills are building on top of each other. They're like building blocks, right?
Yes.
Often our family members, they come to the program the first day and they say, okay, tell us which skill I need to use to fix my loved one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, they say, wow, I understand now my loved one. And suddenly they don't want to change, but they really want to find ways to collaborate.
Yes.
And then so that both the loved one and the family member can have a life worth living.
Yes.
And it's so powerful, right? So in order to get to that validation, there's so much as a family member that we need to reevaluate, to change in order for us to regain balance. I always say, try to hit a ball if you're not balanced and just on one leg, or most of the time you won't land, the ball will not be able to be hit by you because you're not balanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to find a ways to regulate your own emotion, to first of all, like to have a benign interpretation,
Mm-hmm.
to remove judgment, to change the way you're expressing or even living, right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole transformation, and then this transformation is for the better, right?
Yes.
And this is why it makes such an impact, because we recognize, we realize by the way I will act and react will have an impact on how our loved one will react and act too, right? And
Yes.
then with this is giving us hope that maybe without us being able to change our loved one, that we're really feeding like that seed, and then change can come, right? And the
Yes.
whole family can have a different outcome.
Yes. I mean, what you're speaking about when you're asking family members to become regulated and manage their emotion. I mean, we're role modeling essentially what we're asking our
Mm.
our loved one to do.
Yeah.
And so often, like you say, I mean, I went into my kids struggled with addiction and mental health issues, and I had the same attitude. Do whatever you need to do to fix this person. They are the problem. And through the
Mm-hmm.
process of like what you described, learning that, oh, wait a minute, I am not doing all the things that I'm asking them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so by learning how to be different
Mm-hmm.
and how to have empathy and learning how to validate, you change, you actually can heal a very damaged relationship. And like you say, by the
Mm-hmm.
time people come to the Family Connections program, many families have a damaged relationship with their loved one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're very frustrated and hopeless, like you say, and feel like, tell me what the key is
Yes.
to fixing this, because you know, whatever it is, I'll
Mm-hmm.
do it. They don't think about
Mm-hmm.
being different, they just think about do.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes you.
Yes, it does.
It changes
Exactly.
you in a
It's
great
a
way.
whole, yes, it's a whole transformation, right?
Yeah. I remember when you were here in Calgary and we were doing the Family Connections program, and you were introducing the whole concept of what it must be like. You're challenging us as parents to think about what it
Mm-hmm.
must be like for a person with borderline personality.
Mm-hmm.
That was life changing, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. This must be really, really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
This is part of the skills, right? In the sense that to be able to put ourselves into the other person's shoes. But it's more than just the shoes, as like through their eyes, right? Really forgetting about ourselves and living what they are living through their own eyes and experience,
mm-hmm,
you know, seeing things differently.
mm-hmm,
It really helps us understand
mm-hmm.
what they're going through, that their perspective makes sense,
Yes.
right? Doesn't mean that we agree with what they're doing,
No.
doesn't mean that we like what they're doing, but then understanding their behavior, thoughts, or emotion from their point of view makes sense at this moment, right?
Yes. Yes. And I remember you talking a little bit about, I think it was you talking about, imagine if we didn't have people with really
Yeah.
active amygdalas and emotion the way, you know, people with borderline have. We wouldn't have poetry, music, art,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I remember thinking, wow, you're right. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've always admired people who can write a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
poem or a beautiful song. And these people are feeling. This is
Mm-hmm.
all about the feeling,
The
you know.
empathy,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is actually a beautiful thing, you know. They have
Mm-hmm.
such feeling
Mm-hmm.
and ability to connect on a feeling level, and that's what we're being challenged to do through
Mm-hmm.
validation, is to connect with the feeling and to
Mm-hmm.
validate the feeling. And where people get stuck, and including me, is I was worried about validating the story, worried about
Mm-hmm.
validating the facts, which I disagreed with. No, that
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen. That's
Mm-hmm.
false. That's wrong. Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of looking past that and validating the feeling behind it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because we always say if we're not able to validate the behavior, one thing we can always validate is the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And to go, because we don't want to validate the invalid, but really validate what's valid in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then people, what they want is to feel understood,
Yes.
that they're not alone. And validation, this is what really does, right? It's a powerful, like a powerful tool for us to make a connection,
Yeah.
right?
It is a game changer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is. So, I facilitate leadership and development and training. And I have pulled in a lot of family connections concepts into the training that I do, because I teach about communication
Mm-hmm.
and especially and about anger and conflict, and all of this happens everywhere that we go, whether people have a diagnosis or not, or whether we're, you know, in a family connections program or not. Validation and empathy have a role in everyone's communication.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you talked about the fact that this whole thing has changed you, made you a better person. Can you tell me more about how, you know, you don't just use validation and empathy in the family connections program?
No. I
You use it
think like what,
everywhere.
yes, yes. And I think this is it. Like, thanks to, again, the program, the Family Connection program from NEABPD, like with Dr. Perry Hoffman and Alan Fusetti, like the skills we learn kind of make us realize, you know, in life, what do you really want?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is being applied in everything we do, from the moment, let's say from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be effective, right?
Yes. Yes.
What do I want? Do I want to have a relationship, or do I want to make sure I'm justifying and then win my argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I feel like it's making me a different person. And a lot of people are saying the same thing too. When we go through the program of Family Connection, and then you see someone that you haven't seen in a while, and say, wow, Lynn or Maureen, it seems like there's something different about you, right? And I think it's the fact that we're more mindful,
Mm-hmm.
we're more in the moment, probably paying more attention to the person, to the interaction that we're in, right? We're more decent. Um, and we say like the skills that we're learning in Family Connection is like a language.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we're going to practice it, the better we'll become at it. And in order to do this, we have to start with the first thing we do. And then, like, if you go to the grocery store too, you practice. I have one of our leader lately that said that, and I thought it was so cute. But she said, then every time I go to the grocery store, and I look at the person behind the cashier, and I say, oh my goodness, you know, at first she was saying, oh my goodness, how come this person is taking so long to put everything in the bag and things like this? And then, can she do it faster? Don't you see like there's a big lineup? And now she said, every time I go to a cashier, to a grocery store, I try to have empathy, to put myself into the other person's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
to empathize, to see it from our own point, and then really have a conversation. Wow, like being behind the cashier like this after a long time, I could imagine my feet would be so sore, and the person starts saying, yeah, I've been here for 7 hours, I've only an hour. So she has a conversation, and now even herself, her experience, and instead of feeling miserable,
Mm-hmm.
you know, now like waiting to go through the cashier to pay like her items at the grocery store is becoming a pleasant event,
She's
right?
connecting
So
with someone.
exactly. So then everything you do, instead of having so many unpleasant situations, by trying to see the positive side of things, really make your day go by so much more pleasantly, right?
Mm-hmm. It's really
And
life skills training, isn't it?
yes, yes. And then for this, I think it's making me become a better person. It's I think of when I lost Sasha, and then I was grieving, like I was in bed crying. I didn't want to get up. And then my husband said, Lynn, like, I think we're going to have to start to do the first things, right? So let's say, like, let's get up, right? And then, like, after getting up the next day, okay, let's get up and get dressed. Let's get up and get dressed and add something else the following day, like have breakfast instead of being in their bedroom, have breakfast on the main floor or things like that. And then one day, like my daughter was journaling a lot. I never read really her journal except for one or two pieces. And it's kind of interesting that my eyes got focused on this, like I said, because I still, as of today, I still don't have the energy to read her journal.
Mm.
But it says, the part I read says, and I truly believe in helping others is really it's helping myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think this is what I'm doing today, right?
Yeah.
And they're in the selfish way to help myself. I'm helping others, and directly as well. It's a legacy
Mm-hmm.
that to help everyone that is suffering with BPD or high emotion dysregulation,
Yeah.
that they're not alone,
Right.
that we're making the world better for them. And without them, the world wouldn't be the same.
No, like you say, there would be no art. There would be no
Mm.
really connection with each other through emotion, which is how we connect. I mean, it
Yes,
is through feeling.
exactly.
Um, I love that you've turned that into helping others, and that Sasha figured that out before we did. But amazing. You mentioned earlier that she was in a psychology program, and that when she was diagnosed, it was sort of a hopeless, dark diagnosis. And there is, I've come across people who have that belief that it is hopeless, that it is dark, and even people that feel that it's an invalid, ironically, invalid diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first came across that, I did look through the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and I did take exception to some of the things that I saw there. And I don't see that darkness and lack of hope certainly on the Sashbear website. What I see is the organization supporting a lot of current research. There was an MRI program being done on people with BPD, and looking at the differences in a BPD brain map versus someone who didn't have it. So can you tell me a little bit about how you're changing that old, from the dark ages, I'll even say,
Mm-hmm.
historic, um, uninformed maybe
Mm-hmm.
impression of what BPD is?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Like I always say, like, have I'll start with the example that when Sasha was in the US and she was diagnosed with BPD, she was in a psych ward, and then never been to a psych ward before. Didn't even know really what mental health issue really meant.
Mm.
And then when I went there in the US, and then they made me like go through a room that I had to almost like you're being like I don't know what's the expression, strip, like check, like
Searched, yeah.
search, yeah. So not allowed to have your purse, jacket. You have to leave everything in the locker, and then you go to a room, and then they make you sit like similar to a prison, right? When you have visitation, and then suddenly she came in and she didn't have the time to sit, and then she said, "Oh, I was diagnosed with BPD." I said, "Oh, what's BPD?" She said, "Borderline personality disorder." I said, "Oh, wow, this is incredible." I not bad. You're on the borderline of something,
On the
right?
edge. Don't
Yeah,
really have it. You're on the
yeah.
edge of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like borderline, like diabetes, borderline cholesterol. So, oh, you're on the borderline, so it's not bad. And then imagine, being
Yes.
a studying psychologist. Oh my goodness, my mom is a wacko herself, right? She doesn't even know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
It's only after this that I started to do research. I said, oh my goodness. And this is where I say, like the darkness of this disorder, it's not coming from you and me or family members, or we don't even know, let's say, what borderline is. It's really often coming from the service providers,
Mm-hmm.
the clinician, the doctors, because thanks to Marsha Lanahan, the landscape of treating borderline personality disorder now has changed.
Mm-hmm.
With the treatment of dialectical behavioral therapy, now there's hope.
Mm-hmm.
But before, they were recognized as untreatable patient, difficult patient, that when you were taking most of the time, they were dying, or like there was a chance that they would at least attempt,
Mm-hmm.
by all sort of ways to kill themselves. And this is why I think it has such a dark clouds over this diagnosis, right? And then I still remember when she got the diagnosis, we tried to bring her back to Canada. And then every time I was phoning someone, okay, what's wrong? Oh, I said, my daughter was diagnosed with BPD. Okay, one moment, please. Oh, we're sorry, but our clinic now is closed for new patient.
Mm-hmm.
Or phoning another place. Oh, no, we do not take anybody else at this time. Or so every place I was trying to get support, treatment, or see somebody, the doors were closing. So I'm pretty sure it was the same thing for Sasha. But again, it's not because as a family member, we had stigma towards the disorder because we didn't even know what the disorder really meant. So I think it's education. And then for sure, when you're trying then to get the services or treatment and you don't get it, then you start yourself using it and then putting stigma on those treatments. Oh, I better not tell anyone that my daughter or my son or my child has BPD, because what they will think about it is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think it's a diagnosis, today that's a better prognosis, right?
Yes.
There's hope.
Yes.
But this is why education is so important. And this is why it's important to do the advocacy. And Sashbear is happy to say that having a BPD is not a death sentence.
No.
Having BPD, like it's like I was saying, like you live with the disorder, and there's a way to live with it, to have a life worth living.
Yes.
And we have to thank Marsha Lanahan for this, that
Yes.
she really changed the landscape. And now there's other treatment as well that are following, that helping. But we need to still work very hard at removing the stigma under the borderline personality names. And for sure, like there's the DSM-4, DSM-5, and fighting like about, is it like a illness, not an illness, it's a personality disorder, and because of that doesn't fit here, doesn't fit there. No matter what, our children or our loved one are suffering or having difficulty managing their emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're helping them as well, to strive through this, it's wonderful. I still think of a doctor here in Canada, I believe in BC, in Vancouver, said, you imagine someone has BPD as if they had like a huge jet motor, that their engine is a jet motor, but they have the build of a small Cessna.
Yeah.
Well, for sure, like if you try to start this and then, you never took the class, you never took the course, you had no idea of how those clocks or whatever meant to try to manage this huge engine, you're going to have a lot of bumps and accident and hit there and there. But then It's if you take the time to
Yeah.
really learn how to manage this engine, wow, imagine the power, like what you can offer,
Yeah, that's
you know?
amazing. That's a great analogy. You've got a little plane with a jet engine on it, and here you've got someone who's never flown before trying to fly, and that's really
Yeah,
what
yeah,
a teen or a child with BPD is experiencing.
yeah.
One of my
And
frustrations. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, then it brings us back to what you were saying. They can be amazing
Oh yeah.
poets, social worker,
Mm.
musician, because they have so much to offer.
Yeah. Their ability to
Hmm.
connect is unparalleled, I think.
Yeah.
One of my frustrations was that, to be diagnosed, diagnosis in my experience was a gift.
Hmm.
Like you say, it gave us some direction. It gave us some direction for treatment. It gave us some understanding of what was happening, and we knew what to do. We knew there was
Hmm.
something to do, and we needed to do it, as
Hmm.
opposed to just we've got a difficult child who's self-harming and she won't
Hmm.
stop.
Hmm.
Um, but she was probably 15 or so when the psychiatrist first clued in that she was experiencing some of the characteristics of borderline. And then I was told that she couldn't be officially diagnosed until she's 18. But really, we know that DBT is most effective, when started early or young. And
Hmm.
that's been our experience as well. Allie began DBT therapy quite young, and it's been incredibly effective. It's changed her life. It's changed, she is going to work in the mental health field. She wants to be a mental health advocate. She connects with everybody. I mean, she's incredible. And I think of how harmful it would have been to have not been told, because she was
Hmm.
under 18, what we were dealing with.
And this is a taboo in the sense that it's not true. You
Yeah.
can diagnose someone at any age.
Mm.
You don't have to be 18.
That's a misunderstanding, is it?
Yes. It's just unfortunately because sometimes, like the traits of BPD, because it's based on emotion, it could be similar to what a teenager can experience.
Sure.
So this is why some people or some clinician may be hesitant um, to offer a diagnosis
Mm.
to what the loved one is experiencing. And we truly believe, like you said, and you experience yourself, like the earlier that we can treat the symptom, we can treat the traits of BPD, the better they will fare as well.
Yes.
Because if you, like I always say, unfortunately, my daughter started at the age of 12, and then it wasn't before she turned 20 that she got the diagnosis of BPD. I always say when she had the first suicide episode and when she was 16,
Mm.
instead of saying she had teenage angst, like everything was there that she had, like showing that she was really struggling with the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that if something would have been offered to her to say maybe she could benefit from a treatment of DBT. And when you think like the treatment is often skills based,
Yes.
you know,
Skills that
that's
benefit anyone.
exactly. So it's not that it would be affecting her, like her whole body in the sense that there's no medicine involved per se.
Right, right. There's no
So
downside here.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're part, like Sashbear is part of the Global Alliance for Prevention of Early Intervention and Early Diagnosis too.
Got it. And you're on a
Mhm.
bit of a mission to offer mindfulness training and DBT in schools. Is that right?
Yeah, we had actually a pilot done a couple of years ago for bringing in school.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then because we truly believe that it can benefit anyone.
Yes.
And then when we look at what happened to Sasha again, like at this age, when you're 16, 17, who wants to talk to their parents?
Yeah.
At 16, you want to talk to whom?
Yeah. Friends.
your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we're hoping that if the more skills the like the student can help each other, not really like to solve each other's problem, but really to recognize that, oh, my friend really is struggling, so maybe we can together go see the counselor at school,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then just to encourage her to seek help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's certainly not the friend's role to solve the other person's problem. And then this is where we learn, even as a family member, we're not there to solve their problem, but really to encourage them to seek help, because we know that when you seek help, it can make a big difference in your life. And the earlier you seek help, the better it is, right?
Yes. Yeah. I like what you said about not being the counselor and as the parent or as the friend. So often we get caught up in that, especially. And when I talk about validation and empathy in communication skills, people say, "Hey, I'm their manager. I'm not a psychologist." And I say, "I'm not asking you to
Mhm.
be that. I'm
Mhm.
asking you to connect with this person so that you can then support them in getting the
Mhm.
help that they need."
Mhm.
Right? If
Mhm.
they even need more than
Yeah.
that, right? And
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of people don't. Um, so you are the founder and president of Sashbear.org, which is a nonprofit
Mhm. Charitable
organization,
organization.
charitable
Yeah.
organization, and people can donate through the website.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you do some fundraising activities annually as well, the Sashbear Walk.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and this year, because of COVID, we had to do a virtual one. That
Yes.
was very interesting. But then this way, like anybody could participate a lot more easily, right? So that was nice. And we even connected with Australia. So
Hmm.
Australia did their walk while we were like a couple of days after we did ours. So it was very neat, but then we celebrated together. So
Yeah.
it was really nice. So we're hoping that maybe this will spread even more next year
Yeah.
and have other country embrace it,
You
right?
could always do a virtual race.
Exactly.
How
Yeah.
nice is that? What a
Mhm.
gift COVID has been
Yes.
in that way.
Oh, that's a good point. This is it. Like for us, we, as hard as COVID has been, it really bring different possibility to Sashbear.
Yeah.
This is now we bring like we bringing skills and hope to families from remote location as we do it. We're doing the groups through Zoom now, right? So
Amazing. So you talk about
yeah,
accessibility, that just
yes,
bumps it right
exactly.
up. You don't have to be
Yes.
in the city. You can be
Mm-hmm.
anywhere you like.
Mm-hmm.
And
And even for the
yeah.
people that used to travel, like now I'm thinking, when you travel, you can even be able to attend it through Zoom, right? Which is wonderful.
And your program, Family Connections, is offered for free.
It is offered for
That's
free. Yeah.
important for people to
Yeah.
know.
Yes. It's a free program. You can register directly on the sashbear.org site
Yeah.
under family skills. And our program are offer like 3 times a year,
Mm.
and it's free of charge. And it's for anyone who has a loved one struggling with BPD or emotion dysregulation or the traits of emotion dysregulation. Yeah.
Dysregulation, which means that their emotions are up and down,
Yes.
and they're difficult to they exhibit difficult behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they can be
High
hard to manage.
sensitivity, like,
Yes.
with a high reactivity, and it takes time for them to return to baseline,
Got
right?
it.
In a sense, like to regulate themselves, right?
Yeah.
And we can probably like recognize ourselves in this too, because
Oh yeah.
it can happen to any of us, right? Except for someone with BPD or emotion dysregulation, is like they go through this all the time
Yeah.
in a day, right? It could be so many times, right?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. Sorry, and I remember the saying "walking on eggshells" because when people are
mm,
dealing with an untreated person with borderline, they feel like they're walking on eggshells, trying not to set them off. Like anything
mhm,
can sort of set them off, and so that seems to
mhm,
be, if someone out there is hearing this and feels
mhm.
like they're walking on eggshells, this program may be for you, the Family
Yes.
Connections program.
Mhm.
Um, so you're wearing a bright shirt.
Mm.
Tell me about that.
You're gonna make me cry. Yeah, it's interesting. Like it brings the story back to Sasha. She was adamant that she wanted to have her wall orange, And as a parent, to have a wall orange for me, I said, oh my goodness, one, it will be really difficult to change the color afterwards.
Yeah.
So anyway, so all our wall were orange. And then it's only after we find out about the diagnosis, and then when she passed away, then we felt that orange was like the sun,
Mm.
bringing light into the darkness, bringing hope, warm color. And then Sasha really like Andy Warhol as well. And Andy Warhol, like at the, you know, that print that has the different color,
Yeah.
like the green, the purple, the blue, and the orange. And then someone had offered us like a stamp of Sasha with the Andy Warhol type of colors and pictures. And then when we created the organization, we kind of embrace this idea, and then we decided to stick actually with the orange for this. Is we really want the loved ones knowing that they're not alone, that there's hope, and then there'll be always light or brightness at the end of the tunnel, and then someone will be there to guide them.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like Sasha was very vivacious. I mean, she was an active, intelligent woman, you know, and loved bright colors and orange in particular. So I love that you've embraced that as your color, and I'm glad to see you wearing it too.
Mm,
I wasn't
thank
sure.
you.
It's beautiful.
I
Okay,
was
is there?
hoping she would be with me today,
I
so
think she
inspiring
is.
me.
She
And
is. Is there anything that you want us to know about Sasha?
um, that she's hoping that her story will help many others to um, go through what they're going through and finding the path of recovery. Because I think this is what she wanted. She wanted like to help others so they know that they're not alone and they can have a life worth living. She truly believed into the DBT skills.
Mm.
Um, there's a little things that I would like to add. Like one, it's kind of sad story and give hope. I wish that story would have come a day before, but the day that Sasha passed away was the day that Marsha Lanahan came public
Mm.
about herself going through BPD when she was young.
Mm.
And then when I find out that, because her therapist and her psychiatrist were at the conference where Marsha Lana was telling them publicly that she herself had suffered through BPD, that she, after 2 years or so of being in the psych ward, she decided that she was going to come out of it and then find out ways to help others. And I think like Sasha was really hoping to write a memoir
Mm.
to be able to continue or pursue what Marsha had kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
And I say if she would have less heard this story, I don't know.
Would it have changed things for her?
This is, and I don't want to go too much there because I know I cannot change the past, but I'm hoping that this story, and I always tell the story every time I teach, you know, that Marsha herself was struggling with BPD, was in a psych ward for quite a while,
Mm.
managed to come out of it and have a life worth living. So for family members and even for loved one, I'm telling you, please keep hope.
Mm.
You know, live in the moment, see what's in front of you, you know, and then maybe see things differently,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know what tomorrow will be, and there's always hope if you're working together collaboratively with skills and hope. It's possible to have a life worth living for everyone, and that would be my message I would like to live.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to end it on that note. Thank you so, so much, Lynn.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Friends, thanks for listening. And if you liked this episode, please be sure to click on the thumbs up below for YouTube and comment. What did you like most? And what do you want to hear more of? I'd love to hear from you. And in case you missed it, the website is maureentowns.com. Bye.